If you're over 60 and those sudden stabbing leg cramps are keeping you up at night, this might be the most important video you watch today, because there are 9 vitamins that can instantly stop those painful midnight muscle spasms, and chances are you're not getting enough of them. But here's what's shocking. Most people treat leg cramps with stretching or drinking water, when in reality, a silent vitamin deficiency could be the real cause. So which vitamins truly work? Which ones are backed by science? And what are the hidden traps to avoid? Let's break it down. 1. Magnesium. Let's start with the one nutrient almost everyone over 60 is silently deficient in: magnesium. Now, you might not think much about magnesium. It doesn't get the flashy headlines like vitamin C or D, but when it comes to nighttime leg cramps, magnesium is the secret weapon that often works when nothing else does. Here's why. Your muscles don't just contract on their own. They need signals, electrical signals from your brain, to tell them when to tighten and when to relax. And guess what nutrient controls that delicate on-off switch? Magnesium. Without enough of it, those nerve signals misfire. The muscles don't relax like they're supposed to. So instead of resting calmly at night, your calves or thighs suddenly lock up, tight as a rock, sending a jolt of pain that wakes you up in a cold sweat. Sound familiar? That's a textbook magnesium deficiency at work. Now here's the kicker. Even if you eat a healthy diet, magnesium is tough to get enough of these days. Modern soil is depleted. Processed foods destroy it. And worst of all, common medications like diuretics, blood pressure pills, and even heartburn drugs can flush magnesium out of your system without you even knowing. The result? Over 60% of adults over the age of 60 are magnesium deficient. Yet most doctors don't test for it. So what can you do? Supplement smart. The type of magnesium matters. Magnesium oxide, and the cheap one you'll see in most pharmacies, barely absorbs and often just gives you diarrhea. Not helpful. Instead, go for forms like magnesium glycinate, malate, or taurate. These are gentle, highly absorbable, and actually get to your muscles and nerves where they're needed most. Many people report relief in just a few days, less cramping, deeper sleep, and better energy during the day. It's not magic. It's just giving your body something it's been missing for years. And for many, magnesium is the first and most powerful step toward cramp-free nights. So if your legs keep waking you up screaming, magnesium should be the first thing you reach for. 2. Potassium. We all know bananas have potassium, but here's what most people don't know. Potassium isn't just for athletes. It's absolutely essential for anyone over 60, especially if you're suffering from nighttime leg cramps. Here's why. Potassium is what keeps the electrical activity in your muscles and nerves stable. It's like a peacekeeper, balancing the flow of signals between your brain and your body. When your potassium levels dip too low, those signals start to go haywire, and that's when you feel it. That sudden, sharp, paralyzing cramp in your calf or foot in the middle of the night. Even worse, you can be potassium deficient without ever knowing it. Why? Because blood tests don't always show the full picture. Potassium is stored inside your cells, not just floating around in your blood. So even if your lab work looks normal, your muscles might still be starving for it. And here's something even more surprising. Most people don't get anywhere near the daily recommended intake of potassium. The goal is around 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams a day, but the average adult only gets about half of that. Why? Well, we're just not eating enough potassium-rich foods anymore. Think about it. When was the last time you had a baked sweet potato, a large avocado, a handful of white beans, or some steamed spinach? Exactly. And just like with magnesium, certain medications, especially diuretics and blood pressure drugs, flush potassium out of your system. So if you're taking pills for your heart or kidneys, your potassium could be draining away quietly, leaving your muscles vulnerable to cramps. So what's the fix? Start by adding more potassium-rich foods to your diet. Here are some of the best sources: avocados, sweet potatoes, coconut water, white beans, leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard salmon, and yogurt for those who eat dairy and fish. And while potassium supplements do exist, they can be risky in large amounts, especially if you have kidney issues. Always talk to your doctor before supplementing. Bottom line, Potassium is the unsung hero your muscles need to function properly. If you're waking up with cramps or muscle twitching, your body could be crying out for more of it. A few simple food swaps could be all it takes to start sleeping soundly again. 3. Vitamin D. When most people think of vitamin D, they think of bones, maybe even immune health, but very few realize that a deficiency in vitamin D can directly trigger muscle cramps, especially at night. So how does that work? Vitamin D plays a crucial behind-the-scenes role in helping your body absorb and use calcium and magnesium, the two minerals most responsible for proper muscle function. Without enough vitamin D, you might be taking all the right supplements, but your body just isn't absorbing them. That means you could be eating well, staying hydrated, even taking magnesium, and still waking up in agony with leg cramps. Here's the thing. Vitamin D deficiency is incredibly common, especially in people over 60. Why? For starters, your skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight as you age. Add to that less time spent outdoors, and you're looking at a silent deficiency in one of the most important vitamins for your muscles and nerves, and it doesn't always show up in obvious ways. You might not feel sick or weak, but your muscles may ache, your energy levels might drop, or those nagging cramps could start showing up more often. Another issue, if you're overweight, your body stores vitamin D in fat cells, making it less available for use. And if you're taking cholesterol-lowering drugs or have digestive issues, you may not be absorbing fat-soluble vitamins like D efficiently. So what's the solution? Get tested. A simple blood test can tell you your vitamin D levels. You ideally want to be in the range of 50 to 70 ng/ml for optimal muscle and nerve function. Then, supplement smart. The best form to take is vitamin D3, and it works even better when paired with vitamin K2, which helps shuttle calcium to the right places, like bones, and keep it out of the wrong places, like arteries. Also, always take vitamin D with a meal that contains healthy fats, like olive oil, eggs, or avocado, to boost absorption. If you've been doing everything right and still dealing with cramps, vitamin D could be the missing piece of the puzzle. It's not just about sunshine, it's about muscle peace. 4. Calcium. We all know calcium is important for strong bones. But here's what most people forget. Your muscles depend on calcium just as much as your skeleton does. Every time your muscle contracts, whether it's your heart beating or your calf tightening, calcium is involved. It's the spark that makes your muscle fibers fire. Without enough calcium in your system, that signal misfires, and instead of smooth, controlled movement, you get tight, spasming muscles. And yes, that includes those miserable middle-of-the-night leg cramps. Now here's the interesting part. Many people over 60 are actually getting calcium through their diet or supplements, but still experiencing cramps. So what's going on? It's all about balance. Calcium doesn't work in isolation. It needs magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2 to be absorbed and used properly. If you're low in any of those, calcium might not make it into your bones and muscles where it belongs. Worse, it could get deposited into your arteries, joints, or soft tissues, causing other problems like stiffness or inflammation. This is why people who only take calcium supplements sometimes feel worse. The other issue, as we age, our ability to absorb calcium from food declines, especially if we have low stomach acid, take acid blockers, or have digestive issues. That makes it even harder for the body to maintain proper calcium levels in the bloodstream. So what's the best way to make sure you're getting enough and that it's actually doing its job? Start with your diet. Some of the best sources of natural, bioavailable calcium include sardines with bones, plain yogurt, kale, and collard greens, almonds, tofu made with calcium, cheese in moderation. If you do supplement, choose calcium citrate, which is easier to absorb, especially for those with low stomach acid, and always pair it with magnesium and vitamin D3, K2 for proper utilization. Bottom line, calcium isn't just for bones, it's a key player in keeping your muscles from locking up at night. But without the proper nutrient team, it can fall short or even backfire. If your cramps haven't improved yet, It might not be what you're taking. It might be how your body's using it. 5. Vitamin B1. If you've never heard of vitamin B1, also called thiamine, you're not alone. But for anyone over 60 who suffers from random leg cramps, nerve pain, or muscle weakness, this quiet little vitamin could be a game changer. Vitamin B1 plays a critical role in nerve function. Think of your nerves as electrical wires that send signals to your muscles. Thiamine helps keep that wiring intact. When your body runs low on B1, those signals become erratic, and one of the earliest signs is sudden, unexplained muscle cramping. Here's the kicker. B1 deficiency is shockingly common in older adults, especially those taking certain medications. If you're on diuretics, blood pressure medications, metformin for diabetes, or even acid blockers, your B1 levels could be slowly draining without you realizing it. Alcohol use, even in small amounts, can also deplete B1 over time. And here's something most people don't know. Sugar burns through your thiamine stores like a wildfire. So if your diet is high in carbs, desserts, or processed foods, you're even more likely to become deficient. So how do you know if B1 is the problem? Some of the most common signs include nighttime leg cramps or spasms, tingling or pins and needles in your feet or hands, weakness or heaviness in the legs, a feeling of anxiety or mental fog, rapid heartbeat or breathlessness, even with mild activity. If any of that sounds familiar, B1 might be the missing piece. The good news? Supplementing with the right form of thiamine can lead to noticeable relief in just days. Look for benfotiamine or allithiamine, two fat-soluble forms that absorb much better than standard B1 tablets. These forms cross into your nervous system more efficiently and tend to provide faster, longer-lasting results. You can also add more B1-rich foods to your meals, such as sunflower seeds, pork peas, asparagus, brown rice, eggs. Vitamin B1 might not get much attention, but when it's missing, your body feels it, especially at night when nerves go haywire. Restoring this one simple nutrient could help calm your legs, improve your energy, and bring peace back to your sleep. 6. Vitamin B12. Let's talk about vitamin B12, one of the most critical vitamins for your nervous system, and yet one of the most overlooked causes of leg cramps, tingling, and numbness in older adults. Here's the deal. Vitamin B12 is essential for maintaining the health of your nerves and red blood cells. Without it, your nervous system starts to short-circuit. Signals misfire, muscles twitch, and what starts off as occasional nighttime cramping can quickly turn into persistent discomfort, weakness, or even balance issues. Now here's the scary part. B12 deficiency is incredibly common in people over 60. Why? As we age, our stomachs produce less acid, and acid is what helps unlock B12 from the foods we eat, especially meat, eggs, and dairy. So even if you eat a normal diet, your body might simply stop absorbing enough of this critical nutrient. But it doesn't stop there. Common medications like metformin, acid blockers, and even blood pressure drugs can interfere with B12 absorption. Add to that digestive issues like gastritis or IBS, and you've got the perfect recipe for a creeping deficiency that can go undetected for years. So what should you look out for? Sharp or burning leg pain, muscle weakness, cramping or twitching, especially at night, numbness in the feet or hands, difficulty walking or keeping balance, brain fog, fatigue, or mood changes. If you're experiencing any combination of these, don't ignore it. A simple B12 blood test could reveal what's really going on. Now let's talk solutions. The best form of B12 for older adults is methylcobalamin, and it's even more effective when taken sublingually, meaning under the tongue, for better absorption. Injections are also an option for severe deficiencies, but many people find fast relief from high-quality oral supplements. And here's the good news. Once your levels are restored, symptoms often improve quickly, within days or weeks. For some, cramps vanish. For others, energy returns and sleep becomes restful again. Vitamin B12 might be small, but its impact is massive. Don't let a silent deficiency steal your comfort or your sleep. 7. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is often talked about for skin health and aging gracefully. But what many people don't realize is that vitamin E plays a powerful role in improving circulation. And poor circulation is a sneaky cause of nighttime leg cramps. Let's break this down. Your muscles rely on a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients delivered by your blood. If your circulation is sluggish, especially in the legs and feet, those muscles don't get what they need. They become irritable, tight, and more prone to cramping, particularly during sleep, when your heart rate and circulation naturally slow down. This is where vitamin E steps in. Vitamin E is a potent antioxidant that protects your blood vessels from damage and supports the smooth flow of blood throughout your body. It also prevents blood platelets from clumping together, which improves overall oxygen delivery to your muscles. In short, better circulation, fewer cramps. This is especially important if you often feel cold feet at night, experience numbness or tingling, or if you have a history of high blood pressure, diabetes, or cardiovascular disease, all of which can impair circulation and increase the risk of cramping. Here's something else to consider. Vitamin E levels naturally decline with age, and a poor diet only makes it worse. Many processed foods are stripped of vitamin E, and unless you're eating a lot of seeds, nuts, and healthy oils, chances are you're not getting enough. So, what are the best sources? Sunflower seeds, almonds, spinach, avocado, olive oil, butternut squash. If you decide to supplement, go for natural vitamin E, D-alpha tocopherol, rather than the synthetic version, DL-alpha tocopherol. Your body absorbs and uses the natural form much better. One important note. If you're on blood thinners or have a bleeding disorder, always check with your doctor before taking vitamin E supplements. It can increase the risk of bleeding in high doses. But for most people, getting a little extra vitamin E through diet or supplementation can go a long way in improving blood flow, relaxing tight muscles, and reducing the frequency of those painful nighttime cramps. Sometimes, the solution isn't about the muscle at all, it's about getting the blood to it. 8. Sodium. Sodium has gotten a bad reputation over the years, often blamed for high blood pressure and water retention. And yes, too much sodium can be harmful, but here's what most people don't hear enough. Too little sodium, especially in older adults, can cause nighttime leg cramps that feel like your muscles are twisting in on themselves. Sodium is a critical electrolyte, meaning it helps regulate the electrical activity in your muscles and nerves. Every time your muscles contract and relax, sodium works together with potassium and magnesium to make that happen smoothly. If your sodium levels drop too low, the balance gets thrown off, and your muscles pay the price. Cramps, spasms, twitching, restless legs. Sound familiar? Now here's the twist. Many people over 60 are actively avoiding salt because of concerns about blood pressure. While that's understandable, going too low, especially when combined with sweating, medications, or low-carb diets, can lead to hyponatremia or low blood sodium, and that can be just as dangerous as having too much. Let's look at some common scenarios where sodium drops too low. You're taking diuretics, water pills, you sweat a lot from exercise or heat, you follow a low-salt or low-carb diet, you drink a lot of water but don't replenish electrolytes, you take medications that flush sodium out. In any of these cases, your muscles might be running on empty, and cramping is their way of screaming for help. So what's the solution? You don't need to go overboard. Just restore a healthy balance. If you're already eating mostly whole foods and not adding much salt, consider adding a small pinch of sea salt or Himalayan salt to your water or meals. These contain trace minerals, not just sodium. And instead of grabbing a sugary sports drink, try an electrolyte powder with sodium, potassium, and magnesium, especially if you've been sweating or feeling unusually fatigued. Always listen to your body. If you stand up too fast and feel dizzy, feel overly tired, or notice more frequent cramps, low sodium might be part of the equation. Sometimes the key to calmer nights and cramp-free legs isn't cutting out salt, it's getting just enough of it. 9. Zinc. Zinc might not be the first thing you think of when it comes to leg cramps, but this little-known mineral plays a surprisingly big role in muscle function, nerve signaling, and recovery. Zinc is involved in over 300 enzyme reactions in the body, many of which are directly tied to cell repair, nerve communication, and inflammation control. That means when your body is low on zinc, it takes longer to recover from physical strain and your muscles are more likely to cramp, tighten, or feel sore. As we age, zinc deficiency becomes more common and more likely to be overlooked. Why? Because many of the symptoms of low zinc are vague: fatigue, poor immune function, slow healing, and yes, muscle cramps or twitching. And if you're dealing with any of the following, your zinc levels may be at risk: taking acid blockers or diuretics, eating a low-protein or vegetarian diet, having digestive issues like IBS or leaky gut, frequent colds, infections, or poor wound healing, a reduced sense of taste or smell. Zinc is essential for nerve health, and nerve dysfunction is one of the hidden causes behind recurring leg cramps, especially the kind that don't respond to stretching, hydration, or magnesium alone. Here's where it gets interesting. Zinc works in synergy with magnesium and vitamin B6, both of which are common recommendations for cramp relief. Without enough zinc, your body can't properly use these other nutrients. So even if you're doing everything right, a zinc deficiency might be blocking the benefits. Good sources of zinc include pumpkin seeds, oysters, the highest natural source, beef and lamb, chickpeas, cashews, eggs. If you supplement, aim for zinc picolinate or zinc citrate, forms that are easier to absorb. And be sure not to overdo it. Around 15 to 30 milligrams per day is typically enough for most adults. Too much zinc over time can cause imbalances, especially with copper. Bottom line, if your muscles feel tight, your energy's low, and your recovery feels slower than it used to be, zinc may be the missing link. When restored, many people report fewer cramps, faster healing, and improved sleep. Sometimes it's the smallest minerals that make the biggest difference.